In today's conversation, I would like to talk about the benefits of desiring nothing. Why desiring nothing not only speeds up the manifestations, everything also spontaneously manifests effortlessly. You can call it lucky me syndrome if you would like. Now, a person might think this doesn't make any sense. I desire this car. I desire this money. I desire this relationship. I desire this or that. The fruits of fulfillment. You may have heard, creation is complete. There is no separation. You are the fulfillment that you seek. You are completely fulfilled. The whole and complete creation, not separated. Witnessing all these things. Neville Goddard used to say it at the end of pretty much all his lectures, if not all of them. He said, "Now let us go into the silence. Now let us go into the silence." So you know who you are in the silence. You know that you are completely fulfilled in the silence. You desire nothing in the silence. And as you desire nothing in the silence, the relationship, money, the car, the house, the fitness, etc., 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 all these things happen spontaneously, naturally, in flow, without resistance. Resistance is futile. The individual can stop resisting the flow. All these things are added onto them naturally in flow. So, stopping resistance or going into the silence could sound like things to do. Yet these things, like all these things that you once desired to be added onto you, happen naturally as a result of knowing that you are completely fulfilled. There is no desire to be fulfilled as you are completely fulfilled in the silence, just as there's no desire to be fulfilled in flow. You are completely fulfilled in flow. So, desire simply points to being fulfilled or having what the individual desires, or being who the individual desires to be. You are that fulfillment. Can sound abstract. Yet you appear in consciousness, knowing that I am presence, that still I am presence. The spiritual self is pure fulfillment. You appear in consciousness as an individual to experience what that fulfillment is to you. Whatever it may be, the money, the car, the relationship, this or that, you know that you are fulfilled, and it is perfectly normal and fine for the individual to experience that fulfillment in consciousness. You are that pure awareness. That is fulfillment. You know who you are in the silence. Yet you experience who you are as pure awareness in consciousness. In consciousness, as in all these things here appear in consciousness. So, although we could say, oh, I am pure awareness as a conceptual idea, you know you are that pure awareness, and you know that you are fulfilled. So a desire emerges for the individual to live a life of fulfillment, as Neville Goddard had said. The spiritual self speaks to the natural self through the language of desire. The key to progress in life and to the fulfillment of dreams lies in ready obedience to its voice. To desire is to have. That's what I mean when I say desire means having, or desire means being, and by that it is meant specifically. All these things that you desire to have, the car, the relationship, the money, you already have. See, a person may say, well, where is it? If I have it, where is it? All these things, from the sure foundation of knowing that you have what you desire, spontaneously, naturally, effortlessly, are added onto you in flow. I can honestly speak about this from personal experience. And not just myself. Everyone that I've worked with over the years in consulting, the various people that I have met over the years who live this way, which is the way. The way of life is flow. In flow, there is no resistance. There is no shame, there's no condemnation, there's no doubt, there's no uncertainty. In flow, there's no such thing as these things in flow. What is experienced in flow is our real nature. Thus, we experience our real nature in consciousness. So, you know you are that. Love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. I am that. Pure awareness as love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. There's no separation. Yet I desire to experience that in consciousness, because where else can you experience it? Apart from consciousness, you only experience it in consciousness. So nothing wrong with you for desiring to experience it in consciousness as these symbols of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, whatsoever things you desire. Mark 11:24. Whatever are the symbols of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, you are that already. Yet that could sound very nebulous to the mind. You are that pure awareness. You are that pure awareness prior to the mind, so it's okay if it sounds nebulous to the mind. The mind projects out the symbols of fulfillment in form through imagination. As the spiritual self communicates to the natural self through the language of desire. As Neville Goddard had also said, what you now desire you already have. You seek it only because you have already found it. You found it in the form of desire. And as mentioned, in flow, which is the natural result of knowing who you are. And not because Joseph said so, you know who you are in the silence. In the silence, you are completely fulfilled. You need nothing to be fulfilled. In the silence, you desire nothing. You know in the silence, you are already that which you desire to be. You already have what you desire. And as you remain as you are, all these things are spontaneously and naturally added unto you in flow. But what about all these things that appear to tempt away from fulfillment, the fulfillment you experience in the silence? The fulfillment that you know that you are in the silence. What about all these things that appear to tempt or distract? They don't. They don't tempt you. They do not distract you. That's illusory to suggest that they tempt you or they distract you. everything just is. Everything just is. This tempting or distracting is based on conditioning placed upon consciousness in mind, which does not represent you. If the appearance seems to tempt or suggest or distract you, it doesn't. That's just conditioning playing out as theater, as the illusion of this object or this person or this news or this information is tempting you, distracting you. How do you know? Again, in the silence. When we say, now let's go into the silence, you are that already. You exist as perfection. You are the silent witness of it all. Thus, you are already in the silence. That's a way we could say it. So, in the silence, what can distract you? In the silence, what can tempt you? You are that still I am presence, unaffected by appearances, not swayed by appearances, not tempted by appearances, not distracted by appearances. So fulfillment is who you are. You are fulfilled. And knowing that you are that which you desire to be, knowing that you have what you desire, not just in those areas of life, all areas of life. You cannot be swayed. You cannot be distracted. You cannot be tempted. And thus your attention naturally appears to reveal that which is in harmony with your vision. How can an appearance tempt you, sway you? Everything just is. And as you are completely fulfilled, what appears naturally, spontaneously, God does everything, is your attention naturally flows on what is related to your vision. So, for example, in entrepreneurship, we see it as opportunities without trying. Someone says, oh, I have this problem in my business. I have this problem that I'm dealing with. Right away, spontaneously, what emerges in mind are ideas, hunches, plans, inspiration, insights, perspectives. You share it with them, or you put out a product or service that benefits them, and congratulations. It now becomes an additional revenue source. In relationships, for example, you're able to have a conversation without running away from it, without pretending like this or that is not appearing, without trying to ignore. All of those things sound like things to do. You do nothing. And by that is meant specifically, you just remain as you are, completely fulfilled. And naturally what arises is the harmony point in the conversation. The conversation naturally flows. Practically speaking, with a mutually agreed upon way to move forward together. If the individual was triggered by the appearances, that's okay. It's just a belief or programming or conditioning in mind that is triggered to be released. As you know clearly, it is not you. You are the only one that can suggest what these appearances mean to you. Everything just is. So I suggest you suggest wisely from the premise of knowing who you are, being who you are as love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, as that is you really thinking for yourself. And so why would the individual find it challenging to not be swayed by appearances, to not be tempted by appearances, to not be distracted by appearances? Well, they forget that they are already fulfilled. They forgot that they are whole, complete, thus completely fulfilled. But that's okay. Desire spontaneously arises from the source. As he mentioned, the spiritual self speaks to the natural self through the language of desire. The desire to be fulfilled. Desire points to the source of fulfillment within. Thus I need nothing in this world. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. So you found it in the form of desire. That's it. So, what could distract you from fulfillment? You need nothing to be fulfilled. You are that fulfillment that you are seeking for. Now, a person may say, well, God is the fulfillment that I was seeking for. How could I be the fulfillment that I was seeking for? As I always say, the self, desire, fulfillment, God, intention are one. A person generates illusions of separation with concepts like desire points to suffering, they can't have what they desire. That's just shame and condemnation based conditioning that generates illusions of separation. So you no longer identify with it by being as you are, completely fulfilled in the silence. And just as you can be completely fulfilled in the silence during meditation, a formal meditation, whatever kind of meditation practice or prayer, you can be completely fulfilled in day-to-day life, as I also mentioned in the video that I released on Thursday. If you haven't seen it, I'll link in the description to it. I not only said that intention, desire, fulfillment, the self, God are one, I also mentioned that actions and awareness are one. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual are one. As articulated in the book Flow by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. He said, while you're in flow, actions and awareness are experienced as one. They are one. So there's no confusion thus as to what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say, etc. in flow. There's no such thing as resistance, doubt, hesitation, fear, etc. in flow. Proved the point. In flow, which is your natural way of being. As mentioned, just as you can be as you are in meditation, you can also, we can call it, live your meditation in day-to-day life, in relation to your tasks, projects, conversations, etc., etc., etc. How? How can you do that? A person may ask, how? How do you do that? It's easy for me to be still in the silence, know that I am completely fulfilled in a meditation, yet it is challenging in day-to-day life. This is where I say, there's nothing wrong with you. No shame, no condemnation. Whatsoever things you desire, you know that you have it. You found it in the form of desire. That means you are fulfilled. So I am thus aware of, completely fulfilled. I am thus aware of what I as the individual think, how I emotionally relate, and how I behave. That's called attitude. Attitude. I am aware of me as an individual and the attitude of mind. It manifests as thoughts, emotions, and behavior. And no shame, no condemnation. If thoughts seem to suggest I am not fulfilled, in relation to whatever it is that I do. What I say, what I don't say, what I do, etc. The various initiatives, conversations, whatever it may be, making videos. I don't identify with those thoughts. The individual says, well, what about emotions? They seem to suggest that I am not fulfilled. You don't identify with those thoughts. You allow the emotions to be just as you allow the thoughts to be. They do not define you in a way that suggests that you do not have what you desire. You are not that which you desire to be. In other words, you can't say that your thoughts tempt you, your emotions tempt you. They do not. And as you are that pure awareness, completely fulfilled in the moment by not identifying with thoughts that suggest otherwise in relation to whatever appears in mind, whatever thoughts appear in mind, whatever information, whatever appearances, whatever emotions, whatever behaviors, all of those areas transform. Emotions regulate, emotions release naturally, body flows naturally, physically. The body relaxes. See, body is an instrument of divine. If the individual forms conditioning in mind that seems to suggest separation from divine, no shame, no condemnation, that generates resistance in the body, emotional dysregulation, thoughts of disharmony appearing in mind, confusion, contradiction, doubt, resistance, hesitation, etc., etc., etc. No shame, no condemnation. All of that can be no longer identified with, as you know that you are that beyond identification. You are that pure awareness. And just by abiding as you are, you literally do nothing to abide as you are. It doesn't mean that, let's say you're performing a task or initiative, you force yourself to go sit on the couch and do nothing for 30 minutes. You can abide as you are during the initiative, as those thoughts are no longer identified with, as those emotions are released. They're not suppressed or repressed. As you know who you are, you let them be. As you know, they do not sway you, they do not tempt you, they do not distract you from your vision. They cannot. Same with thoughts, same with body. So body naturally flows, emotions naturally flow, thoughts naturally flow. As I say, if you think, you really think for yourself. You do not let the appearances seem to suggest or tempt, because they don't. They do not distract you. They do not tempt you. They do not sway you. Everything just is. So, that is why you desire nothing. When you desire nothing, spontaneously, naturally, effortlessly, all these things are added onto you in flow. Even being in flow could sound like a thing to do, just like now going into the silence can sound like a thing to do. All these things that the individual does in order to be, if they were to happen naturally. It just appears as if someone were to look at you, they say, oh, you are abiding in the silence. You are in flow. And you say, oh, body's in flow. Body is an instrument of divine, just as mind is an instrument of divine. Now, divine speaks through you through the language of desire. If you have a desire, no shame, no condemnation. It means you have what you desire. A person identified with shame or condemnation-based beliefs thinks that desire points to suffering, and then tries to do all these things to suppress repress, or get rid of desire. Desire simply points to the fact that you are fulfilled, as mentioned. Why would the spiritual self speak through the natural self through the language of desire? Well, we can honestly say because you appear in consciousness to experience who you are. You know that you are that prior to consciousness as love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. Yet you, as an individual, have a body and have this wonderful world to experience the fruits of who you are in form as all these things: the relationship, the business, the money, the car, whatsoever things you desire, without shame and condemnation. A person might say, oh, it's not spiritual to have money or relationship or this or that. According to who? You can see that's just conditioning. It literally is conditioning. It's conditioning. It's saying you cannot have what you desire. You should not have it because of this or that reason. And no shame, no condemnation, as I always say. You dissolve that conditioning by accepting that you are already that which you desire to be. You already have what you desire. You are completely fulfilled. You are completely fulfilled with or without those appearances. Yet, as you desire nothing, those appearances of what you desired are naturally and spontaneously added onto you in flow, without resistance, without doubt, without hesitation, without confusion, without worry, because there's no such thing as those thoughts in flow. As I mentioned in Thursday's video, if you haven't seen it, link in the description to it. Desire, intention, fulfillment, God, the self, actions, and awareness are one. And I also mentioned awareness is key. Awareness is the master key. Why do I say awareness is the master key? You are that master key, pure awareness. In the silence. And just as you know, you are that in the silence, in meditation. And as pure awareness, all these illusory conditions that are placed in mind, for whatever the reason may be, dissolve. All these conditions placed upon consciousness in mind that generate illusions of separation, shame and condemnation, dissolve. Practically speaking, the individual does not shame and condemn themselves. They also do not shame and condemn people for having what they desire. They let them be. And so it plays out as a wonderful play. People let you be, you let them be, or another way of saying it is all people appear to be in harmony with you. I posted this on my Instagram the other day. I said, life is a celebration of God, thus you don't need a reason to celebrate life. By celebrating for no reason, everything and everyone spontaneously appears to celebrate with you. I speak from experience. I see this happen again and again. Everything and everyone loses control and celebrates around you for no reason. That's because control is an illusion. The individual, through identification with conditioning, thinks they need to do this or that in order to be fulfilled. They need to shame and condemn. They need to suppress, repress, desire. Why? You are fulfilled. The spiritual self brings you back to the source. God celebrates God perfectly. Another way of saying it is, as I posted on my Instagram, God celebrates God perfectly without resistance. Resistance is futile. That's why Mark 11:24, therefore I say unto you, whatsoever things ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them. And one translation has it as received, as in you already have it. Prayer is acknowledgement of being completely fulfilled now. Thus, living life is prayer. Celebrating God is prayer. You can only celebrate now. Now is the only moment you can celebrate. To imagine otherwise is illusory and does not make any sense. You are that love, happiness, peace, bliss, and fulfillment now, You celebrate by simply existing as you are. That's what I mean by you desire nothing. You are already that. Thus, you, desire, prayer, fulfillment, and God are one. To imagine otherwise generates suffering. There's only God celebrating God now. That is the way that it is. And so it spontaneously appears at times as people say, oh, I've lost control of this or that, whatever illusions of control. And they celebrate with you. And they may say, oh, you know what? I feel so comfortable around you. It was interesting also as somebody had commented on that post and said, in our work, we see this through the voice, through the body. Celebration isn't reaction, it's resonance. When you remember who you are, it just joins the song. It is like that. That's a great way of articulating it. It really is like that. So you desire nothing, as you are already that which you desire to be. You already have what you desire. You are completely fulfilled. And as you abide as you are, as fulfillment, all these things that you once desired, which was the language that the spiritual self was speaking to you. You desire to be this, you desire to be that. I remember, I am that. Desire points to having, being. Or another way of saying it is, I always remember I am that which desire points to. In 2004, I came across a book called Think and Grow Rich, who Napoleon Hill said the same thing, although he said it in his style. I say it my style, Neville says it his style, Napoleon Hill says it his style. Everybody and everything points to the same truth, that you are fulfilled. You need nothing to be fulfilled. You are fulfilled for no reason. There is no reason that is needed, because that doesn't make any sense. See, all these things that you once desired spontaneously arise, as mentioned earlier, in entrepreneurship. Spontaneously arose one time was an opportunity through a conversation that I had with someone who ran a bar/restaurant/lounge in Toronto. And a person might say, well, why would you talk to them? They're not going to get you IT services. You got to speak to businesses that fit this or that criteria. The way it works is the way it works. And it does not necessarily follow what we can call conventional thinking. It may be conventional, it may not be. I let it be. I don't worry about those details. So what happened was, during the conversation, he said, we're looking for a point of sale system. So I called up my mentor and I said, this is what they're looking for, point of sale system for restaurants. And then he introduced me to Open Bravo, which is a point of sale system software, open source software. So I took that software, customized it, offered it to the bar. They started referring business to me. And next thing you know, a bunch of restaurants in Toronto at that time, 2009 and 10, not just restaurants, retail locations. We customized it quite a bit. Ended up purchasing that point of sale system. And not only did I have that additional revenue stream, they also referred IT clients, office IT clients. And that might not make any sense. It sounds like you should focus on your target market. Well, everything happens naturally and spontaneously in flow. So if that was the intuitive step, I take the step. I don't hesitate the step. I don't doubt the step. I don't resist the step. Naturally in flow. That could sound like a thing to do. Don't resist a step. Don't doubt the step. It happens naturally in flow, which is why I always teach, be as you are in flow. I used to say before, make flow a priority, and I'll still say it that way. Yet that could sound like a thing to do. Flow is the natural result of being completely fulfilled. And you know that you are completely fulfilled as you are that still I am presence. That is all desire points to. That's the spiritual self talking through the language of desire. Whatsoever things you desire, pray as though you have received it. Simple acknowledgement. I have. Thank you. I am. Silence. That's acknowledgement. You can do nothing to acknowledge the fact that you are fulfilled. Whatever you'd like. You want to say something, not say something, do something, not do something, do nothing, do something, whatever. Whatever works. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage. You could say, what I now desire, I already have, and I seek it only because I have already found it. Thus I am that which I desire to be. I always remember thus, I am that which desire points to. That complete fulfillment, that perfection that I am, is how I appear to be, with increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive. As all these things are spontaneously and naturally, effortlessly added onto me in flow. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.